You know, one of the hardest lessons in life is learning how to act like nothing bothers you, even when deep down you're fighting battles nobody sees. That's not about being fake. It's about being focused. It's about refusing to let small things, petty people, or temporary problems steal your peace. Because if you let every little thing shake you, you'll never have the strength to climb to where you're supposed to be. Mastering emotional control is one of the greatest strengths a person can ever develop, because it's not about pretending you don't feel pain. It's about refusing to let that pain control your actions or define your character. Life will test you in more ways than you can imagine. People will say things to provoke you. Disappointments will come when you least expect them. And sometimes the people you counted on will let you down. But the real measure of your maturity is how you handle those moments. When you learn to stand firm, to keep your composure even when the situation tries to shake you, you show the world that your spirit cannot be broken. Emotional control is power. It's the ability to walk through a storm without letting the storm walk through you. When someone tries to hurt you or talk down to you, your natural reaction might be to strike back, to defend yourself, or to prove your worth. But when you've mastered emotional control, you realize you don't need to. You understand that reacting only gives power to the other person. You know who you are, and you don't need validation from anyone else. You can smile through the shade, walk away from the drama, and keep your peace intact. That kind of discipline doesn't come overnight. It takes self-awareness and patience. It takes understanding that not every situation deserves your energy, not every insult needs your response, and not every battle is worth fighting. The truth is, most people lose control because they let temporary emotions guide permanent decisions. They speak out of anger, act out of frustration, or quit out of fear. But the person who controls their emotions controls their destiny. You can't make wise choices when you're reacting in the heat of the moment. You have to pause, breathe, and think before you move. When you stay calm under pressure, you don't just survive the challenge, you rise above it. You become the kind of person people look at and say, nothing shakes them. That's real strength. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, it's steady, and it's unbothered. When you refuse to let people see you break, you protect your dignity. There's power in holding your peace when others expect you to lose it. Sometimes silence is the loudest answer. Sometimes walking away is the strongest move. Emotional control doesn't mean you suppress your feelings. It means you manage them with wisdom. You learn when to speak and when to stay silent, when to act and when to let go. You stop letting emotions rule your day and start letting purpose lead your path. Every great person you've ever admired had to master this art. They faced criticism, betrayal, and pain, but they didn't let it destroy them. They turned their emotions into fuel. When life knocked them down, they didn't respond with anger. They responded with growth. You can do the same. You can train yourself to pause before reacting, to observe before judging, and to keep your peace no matter how loud the noise gets. Because the moment you control your emotions, you stop being a puppet to circumstances. You take charge of your energy, your mindset, and your direction. The people who can remain calm when the world around them is falling apart are the ones who end up winning in the long run. Emotional control doesn't make you weak, it makes you powerful. It shows that you are guided by strength, not impulse. It allows you to navigate life's storms with grace and confidence, to stand tall in moments when others crumble, and to keep moving forward even when everything in you wants to react. Protecting your peace by refusing to react to negativity is a powerful discipline that separates the strong from the easily shaken. In this world, negativity is everywhere. It comes in the form of criticism, jealousy, gossip, and sometimes even hidden behind a smile. But when you decide that your peace of mind is more valuable than anyone's opinion or drama, you take back control of your life. Every time you choose not to respond to nonsense, you're showing that you understand your worth. You're saying, my energy is too valuable to waste on things that don't grow me. That's how you protect your peace, by knowing what deserves your attention and what doesn't. There will always be people who misunderstand you, challenge you, or try to pull you into their negativity, because misery loves company. But you don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. You don't have to defend yourself against every rumor or respond to every critic. The truth is, people can only get to you if you let them. When you learn to stay calm while others try to provoke you, you win a battle they didn't even know they were fighting. Protecting your peace means keeping your emotions guarded from those who only seek to drain them. It means being wise enough to know that reacting to negativity only gives it life. Negativity feeds on attention. The more you respond, the more power you give it. That's why you have to be selective with your energy. Some comments deserve silence. Some people deserve distance. You can't grow if you're constantly getting pulled into other people's chaos. Protecting your peace means learning to detach from drama, even if your ego wants to engage. It's choosing to stay calm, not because you're weak, but because you're wise enough to know that not every fight is worth fighting. The strongest people aren't the ones who always fight back. They're the ones who know when to walk away. When you refuse to react to negativity, you send a message that you're on a different level. You show that your mind is focused on progress, not petness. You don't get distracted by noise because you understand that your purpose is too big to be interrupted by small things. Protecting your peace doesn't mean ignoring life's problems. It means handling them with calm and clarity. You face challenges without letting them steal your joy. You let people talk while you keep moving. You let situations test you, but you don't let them break you. Because at the end of the day, peace is not the absence of noise. It's the ability to stay calm in the middle of it. When you master this, your life changes. You start noticing how peaceful it feels not to react. You stop feeling the need to prove yourself. You stop chasing people's approval. You realize that your peace is your greatest asset, and no argument or opinion is worth losing it over. Protecting your peace becomes a lifestyle. You start creating boundaries, saying no without guilt, and surrounding yourself with people who bring light, not chaos. You start to understand that the less you respond to negativity, the stronger and freer you become. Every time you choose peace over reaction, you grow. Every time you ignore what doesn't serve you, you win. Protecting your peace is not a one-time choice. It's a daily practice. It's waking up every morning and deciding that nothing and no one will disturb your inner calm. It's walking through life knowing that your energy is sacred, your focus is precious, and your peace is non-negotiable. Staying focused on your purpose instead of people's opinions is one of the most freeing and empowering things you can ever learn. Too many people lose sight of their goals because they spend too much time worrying about what others think. The truth is, no matter what you do, someone will always have something to say. People will doubt you when you start, question you when you grow, and envy you when you succeed. But when your eyes are fixed on your purpose, none of that noise matters. You realize that the only validation you need is from within. You stop chasing approval and start chasing alignment with what you're meant to do. Purpose gives direction, and direction gives power. When you know where you're going, distractions lose their grip on you. You stop trying to please everyone because you understand that not everyone is meant to understand your journey. People can only see from their level of perception, and sometimes their vision is too small to comprehend your dreams. That's why staying focused on your purpose means learning to tune out the background noise. You don't argue with doubters. You don't justify your path to those who can't see it. You just keep moving. Every step you take toward your purpose speaks louder than any explanation you could give. It's easy to get caught up in opinions because everyone has one. Social media, friends, family, even strangers will try to tell you what you should or shouldn't do. But the moment you start listening to too many voices, you lose your own. That's why focus is sacred. It's not just about working hard. It's about protecting your vision from outside interference. You have to remind yourself daily why you started, what you're working toward, and who you're doing it for. The purpose has to be bigger than the noise, stronger than the doubt, and louder than the fear. When you live for people's approval, you'll die from their rejection. One minute they'll cheer for you, the next minute they'll criticize you, and if your sense of worth depends on that, you'll always be unstable. But when you live for purpose, you rise above that. You stop performing for acceptance and start walking in authenticity. You start realizing that you don't need to fit in because you were created to stand out. You stop letting the fear of judgment keep you from your next move. You stop letting opinions become obstacles. The moment you stop caring what people think, you start doing what you're truly capable of. Purpose-driven people move differently. They're not moved by likes, comments, or claps. They're moved by conviction. They wake up every morning with intention and go to bed knowing they gave their all. They understand that success doesn't come from being liked. It comes from being consistent. You have to be willing to walk alone sometimes. You have to be willing to be misunderstood. You have to be okay with not explaining everything. because the people meant to understand you will, and those who don't never mattered in the first place. When you stay focused on your purpose, you develop tunnel vision. You stop comparing your life to others. You stop measuring your progress by someone else's timeline. You realize that your journey is unique, and what's meant for you won't miss you. You start trusting your process even when it doesn't make sense to anyone else. That's where peace comes from, knowing that you're walking in your calling, regardless of who's watching or what they're saying. And when you reach that point, opinions lose their power and purpose becomes your compass. Letting your silence and success speak louder than words is one of the most mature and powerful ways to move through life. There comes a time when you realize that talking about your plans, defending your name, or arguing your worth is just wasted energy. People can say what they want, doubt what they can't see, and assume what they don't know, but silence confuses them more than explanations ever could. When you stop talking and start doing, your results begin to speak a language louder than any opinion. Silence isn't weakness, it's strategy. It's the calm confidence that says, I don't need to prove myself, I'm already proving it through my actions. Every moment you spend trying to convince someone of your vision is a moment taken away from building it. You can't argue your way into success, you have to work your way there. When you focus on showing rather than telling, people start to notice without you having to say a word. There's something powerful about a person who stays quiet while everyone else is talking, because silence carries mystery, strength, and purpose. You don't need to announce your next move when your results will make it obvious. You don't need to respond to every rumor or defend yourself against every critic when your consistency is already exposing the truth. People love to talk, but only a few can produce. The ones who talk the most usually do the least, while the ones who do the most rarely have to say a thing. When you make silence your weapon, you keep people guessing. They can't predict your moves or measure your mindset because you're too busy working in silence. The more you stay silent, the more your success becomes undeniable. You start realizing that arguments don't change opinions, but achievements do. Your silence is not surrender, it's self-control. It shows that you value peace over pettiness and action over attention. When you let your success speak for you, it commands respect. People can't argue with results. They may have doubted you, laughed at you, or dismissed you, but when they see what you've built, their words fade into the background. You don't have to clap back when your life becomes the evidence. You don't have to respond to negativity when your progress is already the answer. Silence is a form of power that keeps your energy protected and your focus sharp. It stops you from wasting time on unnecessary explanations and helps you keep moving forward with clarity. Every time you choose silence over reaction, you gain a little more peace. You stop being distracted by small things. You stop letting people pull you into arguments that don't matter. You begin to understand that true confidence doesn't shout, it just shows up. When your success speaks, it doesn't need a microphone, it doesn't need validation. It simply stands on its own. That's the beauty of doing the work quietly. Nobody sees your struggle, but everybody sees your results. You don't need to announce the grind when the glow speaks for itself. There's strength in being underestimated. Let them doubt you, let them assume you've given up. While they're talking, you're building. While they're watching, you're winning. When you finally arrive, they'll realize that the silence wasn't weakness, it was preparation. Every time you kept quiet, every time you walked away from drama, every time you chose discipline over noise, you were setting yourself up for something greater. Silence and success will always be the loudest revenge against doubt, criticism, and negativity. Because when you let your work talk for you, the world has no choice but to listen. Training your mind to stay calm in chaos is one of the most valuable skills you can ever learn, because life will never stop testing your patience, your faith, and your focus. Chaos will come in many forms: unexpected problems, hurtful words, disappointments, delays. But the way you handle it determines everything. When you learn to keep your peace in the middle of the storm, you show true strength. Staying calm doesn't mean you don't feel pressure or pain. It means you've learned to control your emotions so they don't control you. It's the quiet confidence that comes from knowing that panic never solves problems, but a clear mind always finds a way. When everything around you seems out of control, the first battle you must win is within yourself. Your thoughts will race, your emotions will rise, and your instincts will tell you to react. But if you can train your mind to slow down, to breathe, and to think before responding, you turn chaos into clarity. Calmness gives you the power to see solutions that panic hides. It helps you make decisions based on wisdom, not emotion. The strongest people are not the ones who never face chaos, but the ones who can remain grounded in the middle of it. They don't let external noise dictate their internal peace. They know that storms don't last forever, and if they can hold steady through the turbulence, the calm will return stronger than before. A calm mind is a focused mind. When you allow yourself to be consumed by stress or anger, you lose sight of what truly matters. That's why discipline is so important. You have to train yourself daily through challenges, through silence, through reflection, to respond with patience instead of impulse. You have to learn to observe before reacting, to process before speaking, and to pause before deciding. It's not easy, especially when emotions are high, but every time you practice staying calm, you build mental muscle. The more you master this, the more untouchable you become. Chaos may surround you, but it won't shake you. Training your mind to stay calm also means protecting your space and choosing peace over participation. Not every battle deserves your energy, not every argument deserves your words, and not every problem deserves your panic. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is stay still and let the storm pass. It's not about ignoring reality, it's about facing it with composure. When you stay calm, you stop reacting to every little thing and start responding only to what truly matters. You save your energy for what's productive and purposeful. You stop letting stress consume you and start learning how to control the narrative within your own mind. Life's pressure is unavoidable, but how you carry it makes all the difference. A calm mind keeps you focused on the bigger picture. You stop making decisions from a place of fear or frustration. You stop letting other people's chaos become your burden. You learn to separate what you can control from what you can't. You start to trust the process, even when it's uncomfortable. You remind yourself that peace is not found in the absence of problems, but in the ability to face them without losing your center. That's real mastery, when your surroundings don't dictate your state of mind. The truth is, calmness is not something that appears overnight. It's a discipline built through experience, patience, and faith. You build it every time you choose peace instead of panic, understanding instead of anger, stillness instead of stress. Each time you keep your cool in chaos, you become mentally stronger, spiritually deeper, and emotionally wiser. And when life throws another storm your way, you'll walk through it with the same steady confidence that says, I've been here before and I'm not afraid. Moving with quiet confidence, knowing you're guided by purpose, is one of the most powerful ways to live. Confidence doesn't always have to be loud or showy. Sometimes it's calm, steady, and unshakable. It's that quiet assurance that comes from knowing who you are and what you're meant to do. When you walk in purpose, you don't need to announce every step or seek validation from others. You understand that your path is unique, your timing is divine, and your journey doesn't need anyone's approval. Quiet confidence isn't arrogance, it's peace. It's the calm within you that says, I may not be where I want to be yet, but I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be right now. When you move with quiet confidence, you stop comparing yourself to others. You stop looking sideways to see who's ahead or behind because you're too focused on your own race. You trust that what's meant for you won't miss you, no matter how long it takes. That kind of mindset gives you freedom. It frees you from jealousy, from impatience, from insecurity. You don't need to prove yourself when you already know your worth. You don't need to speak loudly when your presence speaks for you. People can feel genuine confidence. It doesn't need to be performed. It's in your posture, your tone, your consistency, and your peace. Quiet confidence comes from a place of faith. It's believing that even when things don't go as planned, something greater is still working in your favor. You move with certainty not because everything is perfect, but because you trust the process. You understand that every delay, every challenge, and every setback is shaping you into the person you need to become. You learn to embrace patience instead of panic, growth instead of doubt. You start carrying yourself differently because you know that purpose doesn't require proof, it requires persistence. When you're guided by purpose, you can walk into any room without fear because you know you belong there, not because of who you impress, but because of who you are. Confidence also means being comfortable in silence. You don't need to overshare your plans or seek attention for your progress. You allow your results to speak, your consistency to inspire, and your integrity to earn respect. You know that real power moves quietly. The strongest trees don't make noise while growing, yet they stand tall and unshaken through every storm. That's how you move when you're guided by purpose, calm, grounded, and certain. You don't need to rush because you trust that what's ahead of you is already aligned with what's within you. Every step, even the small ones, carries meaning when you're walking with direction. There's something magnetic about a person who carries quiet confidence. People are drawn to that kind of energy because it's rare. In a world full of noise, ego, and competition, stillness stands out. Quiet confidence doesn't scream for attention. It earns it naturally. It's the kind of presence that says, I'm not here to prove a point, I'm here to fulfill my purpose. And the more you grow in that mindset, the less external validation you need. You stop doubting your path because you know you're being guided by something bigger than you. You stop chasing opportunities and start attracting them through authenticity and alignment. When you live like that, you walk differently, you speak with intention, you handle challenges with grace, you radiate strength without saying a word. And that's the beauty of moving with quiet confidence. It makes you unstoppable in a humble way. You don't need to be the loudest in the room when your presence already commands attention. You don't need to prove your worth when your work already speaks for itself. Walk with peace, speak with purpose, and trust that your steps are guided. Because when you move with quiet confidence and faith in your purpose, you'll realize that the world opens doors for those who walk with calm conviction and a heart full of direction.